Okay, we're back. We're going to cover what's new in Tableau Cloud in 26.1. In my previous video, we covered Tableau Desktop, so I want to go through Tableau Cloud. If you're wondering, what about Tableau Server? There is no Tableau Server release for this specific version. So Tableau Server changed to have updates every other release. So the next update, in fact, the only update in 2026 will be 2026.2. The next one after that will be 27.1, and in 27 you'll get two updates, 27.1 and 27.3. so that alternating cadence is happening with Tableau Server, and everything in this release 26.1 will come in 26.2 Server, as well as everything in 26.2 for Tableau Cloud. It's super confusing, but anyway, let's go back to Tableau Cloud. Okay, we've covered some of these already in the Tableau Desktop component. The reason they appear here is because they come up in the web authoring capability. So rounded corners are available in web authoring. That's why you see them here. Accessible visualization authoring. This is actually going to be specific to Tableau Cloud because a lot of this accessibility settings are available through the web authoring experience. So here, let's take a look at this. Increasing accessibility to empower everyone to become creators of data visualizations within web authoring. Navigate to a pill and use your keyboard and assistive technology to select the context menu option to drop that pill into a drop zone. So essentially you can use the accessibility settings to essentially control the interface. This is actually quite big. If you're using assistive technology, I actually recommend you try this at least once. Try and use Tableau using the accessibility settings and some of the shortcuts that are available for you to navigate around the whole entire screen. If you use those alongside screen reading technologies and assistive technologies, you get a genuine experience of how much of the Tableau product actually works with accessibility settings, and it's really, really good, and it's something that they've continued to pour effort into, which I really, really love. The other thing is, hey, what if you don't have a need for the accessibility settings? You don't think you have a need? Well, if you've ever watched someone who works in Tableau as a power user, they actually use some of these shortcuts themselves to be able to quickly do things. And because these shortcuts exist, you can actually use them as well as part of your own workflow. They're not just for people who need them, they're for everyone to use. So it's a good example of a feature where, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats, as the saying goes. So really great setting. Right, image export improvements. This is, again, I think explicit to web authoring. So when exporting or creating subscription and extension export services, architecture helps you load dashboards that use extensions and generate image outputs that match how you see your data when logged in. So essentially, when you exported a dashboard, you'd have extensions, and those extensions would not render correctly when you exported them as images. This feature essentially allows this to happen. So analysts and admins can simplify considerations around exports and automated jobs and provide a unified dashboard experience when users download them. Access subscriptions and thumbnails, receive alerts, collaborate on Slack, and more, because all of these thumbnails now correctly render the extensions inside of the dashboard. So here, I think the example they've used is somewhat odd. They've embedded the Tableau homepage as a little widget on the page. I don't know how that's an example, but maybe it gives a little feel of, hey, look, this is an embedded component, and it's actually going to generate just fine when you take a screenshot in this particular case. I think that's what this screenshot's actually trying to show, but maybe not. So that's good to know. Tableau app for Office 365. This is actually quite nice. There's a Tableau app that comes into Microsoft 365. So this is PowerPoint, Word, Excel, I assume, as well. And you can actually go and pull screenshots from the Tableau report and put them in your presentation. This is interesting because there was a partner that partnered with Tableau in Tableau conference, and their whole skit was being able to do this. So it's a bit strange that the conference, at least immediately after the conference, Tableau shipped a feature that does this natively inside of the product, probably using a lot more of the capability that Microsoft has. There was a partnership between Microsoft and Salesforce a while back. One of the things they improved on was Microsoft Teams. I assume that the partnership goes on here because they're bringing more capabilities to Office 365. So this is really, really nice. So it specifically calls out PowerPoint slides and Word documents, not Excel. So Excel would only make sense from a data perspective, I guess. And being able to export data to Excel is probably something IT admins don't want to do, even though that's what everyone wants to do. So yeah, that's probably not going to make it through the list. All right, SCIM agnostic of authentication protocol. So this is, I never understand what SCIM. I can't tell you how many times I've done these videos, and this is the one thing that just never sits in my head. So we're just gonna have to read this. Increase flexibility and simplify integration by extending SCIM support on Tableau Cloud beyond SAML to include the modern OpenID Connect OIDC protocol. So essentially adding another protocol to this capability. Cloud administrators can seamlessly select OIDC, the OpenID Connect protocol, as an authentication method in the SCIM configuration. Okay, so essentially, you know what? I'm just going to find out what SCIM means. Give me 1 second. So SCIM, I'm reliably told, stands for System for Cross-Domain Identity Management. So cross-domain identity management, this is essentially when you have, let's say you have a company that owns 2 subsidiaries. Those subsidiaries would each have their own domain for how they work. Let's say I'm Unilever and I own Dove.com and I also own Walls.com. There's a personal care and ice cream products. You might want the employees who work for Walls and the employees who work for Dove to be able to log into the same protocol using their emails. And so this would essentially allow you to do that, I believe. And OpenID Connect is another protocol that handles that. It's a more open system compared to the standard one that's already shipped and supported today. So SCIM was also added in a previous release. So it's essentially just building on this capability to make it a little bit more robust. AV data model enhancements, I think I already touched on this. This is basically bringing that to web authoring in this particular context. So that's why it's here in Tableau Cloud. Smart filter on table name. This was again covered in the desktop video. So again, the exact same feature. You can go check out my video on that. And there's a short as well that points to this. So exactly the same feature, essentially being able to search this filter pane here at the top with a nomenclature that allows you just to look at table names rather than necessarily searching fields, which is quite nice. Tableau maps, mixed geometry. I've already done a video on this as well, so we can skip through this. External key management for extracts. This is actually interesting. When you have an external key for extract, what we're really talking about is encryption. And when you encrypt an extract, essentially making the file secure so that if you were to access the server that the extract was physically stored on, you could essentially get that extract file and open it in Tableau Desktop natively on the server itself. By encrypting it with an external key, what you're basically doing is providing Tableau Cloud with a key that you control, an encryption key that you control, which means if someone gets access directly to the server, they can't actually access the file because they don't have the external key that's required to open that extract. So this capability essentially allows you to have that capability to manage the key separately. So enhance the security of your data extracts in Tableau Cloud with external key management. Integrate directly with your AWS key management service, so that's known as KMS in the AWS ecosystem, to gain full control over the encryption keys that protect your data. So here you would manage the keys in AWS. And so if you cycle the keys or change the keys, they would also sync up with your Tableau Cloud, and your extracts would probably have to be taken again because they'd need to use the key. So external key management extracts is generally available in Tableau Cloud. Red Hat Linux. RHEL stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. I think that's what RHEL stands for, I think. Support for Tableau Server. So essentially you can now use this version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 10 for Tableau Server, which is an interesting one. I don't know why it says Tableau Server when this is a Tableau Cloud release. I think specifically they're just talking about this. Let me read this because this makes no sense. Enable customers who are legally and securely required to run the latest Red Hat Enterprise to upgrade their Tableau Server instance. Administrators can install the installer from the Tableau website. I think this is snuck into this, but it shouldn't be here. I think this is supposed to be in the next release, or they've released this capability for Tableau Server now so that people can install this now and not have to wait, because there might be a deadline coming to have to switch over to this version. That's the most logical thing, because it clearly says Tableau Server, which makes sense. You shouldn't have to do this yourself for Tableau Cloud. Tableau managed Tableau Cloud, so there's no need for it to support this version of Linux. That's entirely up to Salesforce or Tableau. So this must be it. It's a Tableau Server feature coming out now because there's probably a deadline that's dependent on it. Disable duplicate custom view names. Oh, this is so good. So basically, custom views are this capability that allows you to go into a report and save a specific version of it that's yours. And so every time you go to that workbook, it's pre-filtered, it's preset to your specific settings. The problem is that you could name those with names that clashed. And so this capability allows you essentially to strengthen the reliability of these. The reason you want to be able to have custom names for custom views is because if two people call the same custom view the same thing, then you can't dynamically link to it. You can't dynamically and reliably use it. So by forcing this setting, you essentially now know that if you create a custom view with a specific name, you can reliably link to it and know that no other one is going to clash with it, which is quite nice. So let's read this feature. Strengthen product reliability and create a more intuitive custom views experience by blocking the creation of duplicate names and providing a clear inline alert when a save will overwrite an existing view. This eliminates silent failures and prevents confusion, particularly in large enterprise environments. Yes, everyone thinks of the same acronyms and everyone does the same lazy titling and typing, like test 1 and test first and test 2. Disabling duplicate custom view names is generally available in Tableau Cloud. So that's great. Spatial joins and calculations. So this is prep in the browser. I'll actually leave the Tableau prep features. We'll cover them in a separate video for Tableau prep. So Tableau prep is a hyperservice. We'll leave that as well. Bring your own connector pilot. So this is interesting. Accelerate your journey to cloud and centralize governance with Bring Your Own Connector BYOC. This is sort of borrowed from Bring Your Own Device, BYOD. Now in pilot, organizations using proprietary systems or unsupported databases can now deploy custom drivers and connectors, enabling migration to Tableau Cloud. So this is kind of nice. So Tableau Cloud is run by Tableau. So you might wonder, well, I could already do this on Tableau Server. Yes, you can. But here's the problem. Because Tableau Cloud is managed by Tableau, if you had a proprietary database or a very weird custom driver for your specific database, it was not easy to get it to work with Tableau Cloud because Tableau Cloud only supported the generally available drivers and connectors. And so this allows you to use those bespoke drivers. Bring Your Own Connector unlocks the full power of web authoring, published data source, extracts, and Tableau prep flows whilst ensuring site-level governance and usage monitoring. So essentially making sure that everything works. So this is actually quite nice for enterprise organizations trying to move to the Tableau Cloud. They're doing everything they can to get that move done. So this is, again, quite nice. REST API connector. This is something I covered in the desktop version. Essentially, this is a new connector, so you don't have to build a web data connector to connect to a specific data source. Instead, you give it your API details, you give it the JSON path or the format, and then it goes off and actually just connects to that using the authentication method that you provided. So that's really quite nice. Google Looker connector, I've talked about this already in another video. Essentially, this is just the ability to connect to a Google Looker data model right in Tableau without having to go and export the data sources and repeat the work that you would have done in Google Looker inside of Tableau. New Amazon S3 connector. This is just an update really to the existing connector. It's a little bit more reliable. Essentially, this allows you to connect to any data inside of your S3 bucket. Uses CSV and Parquet files specifically. So again, I've done a video on that. OAuth for Cloudera, Impala. This is again something I touched on as a connector update, I believe. So streamline authentication with this by configuring Impala instances to use OAuth. Organizations can move away from legacy authentication. So it's essentially an updated authentication method. Tableau Bridge client status in activity log. So activity log is a capability that tracks pretty much everything that's going on inside of your Tableau Cloud or your Tableau Server environment. In Tableau Cloud, it tracks some specific things related to Tableau Cloud. Here, what they're doing is they're letting you see the status of your Tableau Bridge instance. Now, Tableau Bridge is a capability that runs inside of your own organization. It essentially sits on a machine or a server inside of your own organization. And anytime Tableau Cloud needs a refresh of a data extract, it pings Tableau Bridge and says, hey, can you reach inside the firewall and update this data source for me? Tableau Bridge does the work and then pushes the data source back up to Tableau Cloud. You need this because the Tableau Cloud needs a way to get into the company firewall. And so what you have is essentially, let me use a really bad term for this, Trojan horse that sits within your firewall that is monitored and checked, of course, set up with IT. And that's the only thing that can communicate to Tableau Cloud. Being able to see the status of this lets you know if an extract is going to fail or if something happens. And so you can monitor this over time and make sure that your activity log is telling you about all the issues and instances. For example, if someone switches the server off, you need to know that Tableau Bridge is down and actually all your extracts that are set to call Tableau Bridge won't succeed. So this is quite nice. Okay, Tableau Bridge improved job monitoring. So this is again an improvement to Tableau Bridge. Let me read this because I haven't heard about this. Manage your background workloads more efficiently with enhanced Tableau Bridge monitoring. Admin views and the query job background jobs APIs now report the sent to Bridge status. This update provides clear visibility into which jobs are running on local Bridge clients versus those utilizing Tableau Cloud backgrounder resources. So just a bit more resiliency, a little bit more transparency into what's going on. Tableau Agent Dashboard Narratives Beta. Man, this is interesting. So the Tableau Agent is a capability that's come to dashboards. Now it requires you to have Tableau AI enabled, which requires you to have a SKU or a license that connects to the Tableau AI capabilities. Some of these require you to have access to essentially the top tier Tableau license level. So the first thing is to use any AI capability, you need that. The second thing is this then connects to Tableau Cloud directly. So what is essentially happening is desktop is calling this specific capability and it runs inside of the cloud. Now in this particular instance, this is happening in web authoring and specifically for Tableau Cloud. You can't do this in Tableau Server, at least not yet. And so what this allows us to do is essentially have narratives about our data inside of this Tableau agent. Now, this is not the first time that this has been done. We actually used to have something called explain data, and we've had a couple of other features that have actually touched on this. Tableau acquired this company called Narrative Science a really long time ago, and actually they pioneered this kind of way of summarizing information. There was a feature called stories, which was a way of basically building these into the dashboard directly. I don't even know if that feature still exists or if it's been quietly deprecated and moved to Tableau Agent. Something I'll check out when this feature releases, but yeah, this is essentially what this feature is. Narratives that help explain the data that's going on to the left in the side panel. So kind of handy. Hey, Tableau Pulse. Tableau Pulse has been getting on lots and lots of features. I really need to do a big update on this to basically bring it all up to date. There's been a lot of really great touches. So what I'll do is I'll do Tableau Pulse in a separate video, and that should conclude everything that we need to know about Tableau Cloud. All right, thanks for watching. Catch the next video where I'll hop into Tableau Prep, and then we'll do Tableau Pulse as a separate video. So 2 more videos to come, and then hopefully the release comes out just in time. We can get hands-on with these features.